All right, good people. Welcome back to the True Prescription Podcast. I'm really happy today. I have Miss Tiffany Hawkins here. Hey, Tiffany.
Hello.
Before we start and get into all things Tiffany, I just want to, give a quick shout out to Mr. Kobe Bryant. His memorial was yesterday, and I remember when it happened. I was kind of messed up for about a week, and then, life goes on. But then, just it hit me again, just watching Jordan, and it's been tough. It was tough. I had to shed some more tears yesterday when I watched it. But anyway, we have Tiffany Hawkins here. Tiffany is the head of private investments and business development at Momentum Advisors with my buddy Alan Boom over there. She deals primarily with assets that are not in the market, so things like real estate, private businesses, and franchising. Before she was there, she worked in various marketing PR roles, including a 2-year stint with Mr. Sean Combs at Ciroc. And she's an entrepreneur. She owns some dry cleaners and some gyms. And most importantly, she's a graduate of my alma mater, Morgan State University, represent class of 2004. Now, I would like to get into, she majored in biological research and statistics, which I'm like, that's interesting. We're going to figure out how you went from there to what you're doing now. Yeah, that's it. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
First and foremost,
yes.
Gusto. I haven't heard that word in a long time, especially not coming from a black man. So I'm going to reintroduce it into my vocabulary.
Gusto.
Make it more common.
That's
Gusto.
right. That's right.
I like Gusto.
We're trying to live with some gusto.
Also, update, as of January 1, I'm Chief Operating Officer of Momentum Advisors.
Wow.
So that will be reflected on the website soon because we have a new website coming.
Okay.
But Chief Operating Officer.
How's that feel?
Long time coming is how it feels. That's how it feels.
Why you taking so long, Alan? What's your problem, Alan Boomer? He's over there quiet.
Yeah, no.
You know she deserves it.
No, it was appropriate and appreciated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. It's really cool when you can work with people that not only that you get along with, but that you actually consider family.
And have a respect for.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Respect goes a long way, especially in disagreements. We don't all agree, and I think that's a good thing, but we manage it well because we respect each other.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right, so we're going to jump right into the True Prescription. For my old listeners, you know what the show's about. For the new listeners, I'll just be brief. The thesis for my show is basically that we are afraid of truth. We don't like it. It's uncomfortable. And so when you look in that mirror and that thing is looking at you, you're saying, I don't know about it. But what my guests know and what I've known through my many experiences, my many traumatic experiences, is that if you don't accept the truth, you will not be set free. And so what I'd like Tiffany to do is go through, we're going to do a combination today. Or she can choose one, personal or professional, a truth. So tell us a story about something maybe in your life that, you maybe were ignoring or weren't aware of, right? Because sometimes there are truths, there are things that go on outside of us that we're just not aware of. But once you became aware of it and had to accept it, you went through some kind of breakthrough. That realization created a breakthrough for you.
So similar to you, I've had like several traumatic, life-altering, but very necessary life experiences.
Yeah, necessary. I like that. Necessary.
And so I am divorced, happily, pleasantly divorced. But I mean that in saying that, like, I had a happy marriage and I had a pleasant divorce. Okay. And I had a very pleasant, more than pleasant relationship with my ex-husband after my marriage. So it wasn't contentious at all. Okay. So when people hear me say happy, it's like, I'm so good. I'm so glad to get away from him. No, it was a pleasant experience all the way through. Okay.
But you said you had a happy marriage.
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
How does that? Well, I'm gonna let you tell your story. So and then go ahead.
I got married because that's what you do when you come from a good black family.
That's true.
Okay. You go to college. You meet a guy at college who treats you well and has a great major and a potentially great career. Right. And then shortly after graduation, he proposes because he's already asked your parents. And then you say yes, because that is what everyone does the first year out of college. And so I was on that boat. Yeah. Mind you, I knew my entire life, up until this point anyway, that I did not want to get married at an early age. I made it very clear to anyone around me, not interested in marriage at an early age. I don't want to even look at marriage until after at least in my 30s. So I'm dating this really great guy who is all about marriage. He's got, like he comes from a family where like marriage is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And like, he's been thinking about marriage since the day we met. And I'm like, even my father said like, Tiffany, like, is that the road, And so I got married because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Even though I was completely clear that I've always been different. I've never wanted to follow the path that others followed. It never was even attractive to me. Like watching The Cosby Show or watching love stories and like you meet this guy, it never resonated with me. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want any parts of that. And it was so traditional. It was so traditional. And I said to him one thing, I said, I don't need to do this, right? Like we could totally.
You told him that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I said we could totally just keep dating. Like I'm not interested in dating anybody else. I'm just not interested in this. And he was like, this is what we're supposed to do. And right. And I said, cool. Now, so I got married. And I got married on like we walked down the aisle. I'm walking down the aisle with my father like, this is a bad call. We are not doing the right thing here. Yeah. I had a conversation the night before with I had a best man and my maid of honor. Like, this is not, I am not a person who gets nervous. I don't have jitters. So this wasn't that. This wasn't cold feet. Yeah. I'm like, nope, this is not the right thing to do. So we got through the wedding, but immediately thereafter I said, I don't think I made the right call. And it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. Okay. But he was a great guy. Like we didn't have problems in our relationship. Right. He was a great guy. He was one of my best friends. So he was like, listen, I'll do what I can to make this manageable for you, but give it a shot. Okay. And he said, if you find yourself in a place where you've done what you can do and it doesn't work out, I won't make it hard for you. And literally, probably 3 years in, he came home from work one day and he said he was getting his MBA at the time from Emory. And he said,
you were living in Atlanta.
We were living in Atlanta. Okay. We had moved to Atlanta from Baltimore. And he said, you did everything I asked you to do. And I could not live with myself if I kept you in a situation that I knew you weren't trying to be in. And he let me out. Wow.
That's big.
Yeah. I was back in New Jersey in 48 hours. Yeah. But that was the beginning, because this was a lesson I had to learn several times over. Okay. That was the beginning of me realizing that who I am is on purpose. And for a very, very long time, I constantly believed that certain characteristics about me and the way that I thought was just off. There was a glitch. There was something wrong. I hadn't come around yet. Why don't I feel the same way that other people feel? Why don't I want the same things that other people want? Why am I so aggressive in certain areas? You got to work on that. You got to smooth that out. It took a while. It took several knocks in the head for me to realize that everything about me and everything about who I am is completely on purpose.
Yeah. They say God don't make no mistakes.
No.
Right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. So, because it's funny, a lot of times, like, people don't really know what they want, or they're the truth. They have to kind of discover. But you were very clear, like, I don't want to do this. But
I'm not interested in this.
You did it.
But I did it because he's a good guy. Yeah. And I don't have a reason. I can't express exactly why I don't want to do this. Yeah. And it's super important to you. And so, sure, let's try it out.
At what point, so that was the first major thing, right? Where you sort of didn't go with your gut. Right. You knew your gut. You trusted your gut, but you didn't go with your gut.
Right.
Were there other things, other times when you sort of didn't really trust your gut and made a decision that, you later were like,
So no, there weren't times where what ended up happening along the way is that my gut we became like best friends. Okay. And so I got to a place where like before my gut even move, like if I got an inkling, I was ready to just shut the whole situation down.
Okay.
Which I think is good, but it has put me in some precarious situations. Like seriously, where and it has never steered me wrong,
Okay.
but it has steered me through very difficult times. It is the decision that I think was supposed to be made, but it was not comfortable, and it had me in dark periods for long periods of time.
Give me an example.
So when I left the marketing industry, and I left at the top, like I was with Puff, and I was flying my friends to Paris, and we were going to Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like it was a movie. Okay? It was a movie. Beautiful brownstone in Brooklyn, parties, very high-end lifestyle. And literally,
And you were single.
I was single. Well, I had just started dating this guy that I had been wanting to date since I was 11 years old.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so I finally got the dude. Okay, living this life.
Right.
Me and my girls are all over. And I woke up one morning and nothing mattered anymore. I didn't like him. I didn't like where I was living. I didn't like my job. I didn't like my salary. I didn't like my friends. I didn't know who I was at all anymore. And I did not take the time to figure out what all that meant because it was my gut.
Yeah.
I shut it all down. Quit my job, broke up with my boyfriend, moved out of my place, like immediately. Within a week.
Wow.
My friends were flying in. They thought I was having a breakdown. I was like, I am having a breakdown, but I've got to just do this thing. I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
And it sent me through a period of completely not knowing who I was or what was next for me for probably about a year and a half.
Okay.
I always say one of the worst things that can happen to a person is that they get everything that they've dreamed of, that they accomplish all of their goals. It's one of the worst and one of the best. I had accomplished every goal that I had set out for myself, very specifically. The type of brownstone I wanted. I wanted to work for Puff. I had wanted this guy since I was 11 years old. I wanted to travel this type of way. Yeah. I wanted to make this amount of money. I wanted my life to look like a specific thing. And I have to say probably like 2 weeks into having it, I was like, what is this?
Yes.
And
yeah. It's like when you were walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
Same thing.
And I wasn't even 30. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my time? And none of this stuff that I thought matters. I feel nothing. I feel completely dead inside. And so I did all those things.
Wow.
A lot of difficult, there were a lot of things that started to happen. Sandy hit. And when Sandy hit, I got stuck back in Atlanta because I had friends in Atlanta and I was visiting them.
Okay. Hurricane Sandy for folks not in the tri-state.
Yes. And I got stuck back in Atlanta. And you know, Atlanta do you wrong. You have one good weekend in Atlanta and you be like, I need to live here.
Cheap ass houses.
Right? So I'm stuck in Atlanta for Hurricane Sandy. I'm at the Falcons tailgate. I'm like, oh, I'm coming back. Okay. So my friends are like, just stay. You don't got no job. Like, just stay. I'm like, you're right, girl. I don't got no job. So I ended up staying.
So you flew down there to visit.
Yeah.
And Hurricane Sandy hit.
Yes. And that was it. That was it.
Now, did you go down there because of Hurricane Sandy or just happened?
My friends were there and they were like, we don't know what you're going through. Okay. Just come and visit.
Okay.
Right. And that was really it.
So that was support. It was a support visit.
For sure.
Okay.
So they convinced me to stay. My ex-husband was still living in Atlanta. We had a really great relationship, but my homegirls were there and they convinced me to stay. And my homegirls who had convinced me to stay, within 5 weeks of me being there, stole all my money and had me homeless.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean stole all your money?
Yeah.
How does that happen? Money is in the bank.
Money is in the bank. And when you are talked into considering going into a business venture together.
No. Oh, no.
Combining accounts.
Oh, Alan Boomer.
And we're girls, and why not?
Damn.
And
it was a scam. It was a straight Ponzi scheme, or it was just a bad business deal?
It was one day I can no longer get in touch with you anymore.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
I was staying in one of your rental properties, and one day the locks were changed.
Oh, shit.
and the only person I had to turn to was my ex-husband.
Yeah.
And at the time, we didn't know at the time, we were like, oh, this must be crazy.
Yeah.
Fluke
Something
of a
must have happened.
situation. He's
Yeah.
like,
She must be sick up in the hospital
right.
or something.
So he's like,
right.
just come to the house.
Right.
Like, just stay here through the weekend. And like, you'll figure it out by Monday. I'm
Sure.
like, yeah,
Right.
sure. Totally. Yeah, no, that's not what happened. And
Oh my God.
several months later of sleeping on my ex-husband's couch, which was bearable because he was a consultant. And so he was gone
traveling
throughout the entire week. He was only home on the weekend. So throughout the week I was there by myself. But after several months of being there and us realizing this is legit, this really happened, you're broke, you can't get a job, you don't have a place to live, and I don't know what you're going to do. But you've got to get the hell out of here because I have a life that I've
Was
created.
he dating at the time?
And so he was dating, and it was freaking him out because he's like,
chicks coming through, you on the couch.
yeah, you know?
Right.
And he's like, it's a little too familiar.
Yeah.
That was the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Like, I could fall back into this.
Yeah.
But this is not what you want to do. I'm going to get my feelings hurt again.
Correct.
So I can't get too comfortable with this.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you got to get out. And I still didn't have anywhere to go.
Right. And no real income.
No.
So
not a fake income. There was no income.
Let me recap this for the people listening. So on top of the world,
working
with Puff, hanging out in Paris with
private
Jay-Z,
jets,
private jets, all that, cash in the bank. Woke up one day, say, you know what, I don't want. Oh, sorry, got the guy she wanted. Woke up one day, broke up with the dude, sold a house, and went down to Atlanta. So she, had a little nest egg.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
all the worldly stuff, she was like, I'm done. I
Right.
got to figure out who I am, and then all the cash gets stolen.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. Could not get a job. I was applying everywhere. LA, Chicago, Atlanta, like New York. I've lived all over.
Yeah.
So I'm not really attached to any place specific, any place that and all of a sudden I just could not get it. No one would hire me for anything. I'm like, I've got connections. My resume's flawless.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Do you think it was the way, like, you gave your, like with Puff, you gave your 2 weeks, like it wasn't you just called him and was like,
Correct.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Yes.
You did a profession, gave
Yes.
you 2 weeks. You don't think it had anything to do with him being upset that you left?
No.
It was just that time in the market. You just couldn't find a job.
Could not. I was getting you're overqualified. A lot of it was people knew my reputation. And so they're like, well, why are you applying for this job? You've done all these other things. And I'm like, because I need an income. Like, you're focused on the wrong things.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, I could not get a job.
Damn.
And, I know now all of this was very necessary because it stripped me of the person that I was prior to and made me a completely different person.
Yeah.
And that is when I started my first company.
Okay.
And I started my first company, and within
Tell us about that company. What was it called? What did you do?
Yeah, so I started a web design company. I have no web design background whatsoever, but I had been working in marketing strategy, so I knew what things needed to look like. I worked with several major creative directors over the years on large brands, American Express, like CoverGirl. So I knew what things needed to look like.
Okay.
And so I just was making myself available. I call it YouTube University. I learned on YouTube how to build websites.
Right.
And my goal was like, I'm not going to be the best website builder, but I'll be the best website designer.
Okay.
I know how it should look.
Okay.
Don't ask for too many bells and whistles, though. Don't get cute. And I sent an email out to 4 people. I was extremely embarrassed. Because I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I actually remember I was dating an entrepreneur after I got divorced, and I used to just rag on him, like, you ain't going nowhere today. Like, you gonna still be sitting here when I get back. He's wildly successful now, but at the time, I'm like, oh, you ain't got no job. Like, where you going?
Right.
So I used to rag on entrepreneurs, and so I'm like, here I go.
Interesting.
Just not with no job, and so I was so embarrassed that I was only willing to tell 4 people that I did this. I built my website and for the company, and I emailed 4 people. And I just emailed the 4 people that I knew would not laugh at me. And I said, listen, I did this thing. If you know somebody, tell them to holler at me. It was like that, right?
Yeah.
And I prayed about it, right? And this was the prayer. Listen, God, I ain't want to do this anyway. So if this is something that you want me to do, you better make it work, and it better be easy. Okay. I know you're not really supposed to talk to God that way. But I think he understood my heart.
Okay.
Understood the frustration I was dealing with.
Right.
And I sent the email out, and within a week, I had enough money to put a deposit and 3 months down on an apartment
In Atlanta. Okay.
And
wow. You got business quick.
Very quick.
Okay.
Very quick. And
how did you price yourself? Like, how did you decide how to price
yourself? Too low. Too low. I really was pricing things based on what I needed.
Okay,
like,
got it.
So I need a place to live.
Yeah.
Got to pay this car note that's behind.
Yeah.
I need, and I was not even thinking about the product, but it was coming in. And honestly, the first two payments that came in, I was like, wait a minute, am I stealing? Because I'm not a web designer.
Right.
I'm lying to these people.
Right.
Right. And after a week, I was like, I really want to spend this money, so I got to go ahead and fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
And I kept those clients for years. My first 2 clients I kept for years.
Wow.
But after that, the company grew very quickly. Very, very quickly. My prayer worked, as they always do, but very, very quickly. And it went from, I got a place to I got to hire people to I got an office up the street.
Okay.
And that all happened within 6 months.
Wow.
And that was when I was, at that point, I recognized that everything that happened had to happen that way based on who I am. It had to be that hard. Other people aren't that hard-headed I am. It had to be that hard for me to end up in the position that I ended up in.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to go all the way underground.
But what it taught me was the person who I always was, again, was on purpose. For the longest time when I was in the marketing industry, I used to see these women, female executives, and they were so coy and charming. And for those who know me, I'm aggressive and demanding.
Yeah.
And I'm I gotta learn that. I don't know how to do that. I gotta dial back this other thing that I do. Right. I can't be like this.
Right.
What's wrong with me? Or they would really get off on certain things that being around certain people. And I'm poor at small talk. So I gotta figure out, I gotta learn that. I gotta read a book. Where is my delicate side, and all the things that I would constantly think something was wrong. Why do you stay in the office so late? I love working. Why do you like this so much? Is something, you got parental issues? What's wrong? And it was through this time. So I spent a lot of time trying to not be that person and trying to act like another person and
crazy.
And through this difficult period of time and starting this company, the only thing that made it work was me being the exact person I had always been, but I had been fighting. And that is when I really realized, no, this is it. This is who you are. Yeah. And this is on purpose.
What comes to mind is actually something I've been focusing on for myself the last 2 months, and it's acceptance.
Yeah.
A lot of times we fight who we are. And at least for me, because I'm very similar, I'm sort of very aggressive and kind of a go-getter, the idea of acceptance seems weak to me. But then when you think about it, you're actually just accepting who you, what you really are.
Yeah.
And then you can actually really, really do what you do, right?
I'm very, so I always say, I like myself a lot. I really, really do. And it's not from a place of arrogance. It's from a place of hard work. It's from a place of, I worked really hard to be this person.
Yeah.
And I went through a lot of uncertainty and insecurity, and I worked through it. Okay. And so what we've ended up with, I bang with her very, very hard. I like myself a lot. I do. And I don't,
third person.
Yeah. And I don't think people recognize that about themselves. With everything that you've been through, how could you come out on the other side talking junk about yourself or feeling like you're not enough with everything that you've survived? I'm my biggest fan. I like myself a lot. And that doesn't mean that I'm perfect. And it doesn't mean that I'm not working on things. But I know that I can, those things are all very real. I just know, we'll work on them. Just like I've worked on everything else. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying that I like myself a lot because of what I've come through. And I've got some more work to do. Yeah. I also, though, this was definitely, so during that period of time when I started this when I started this company.
The website, yep, website
right?
business, right?
All I kept hearing at night was, get it together. And I'm like, I don't know what this means. And then
Hearing it where?
in my head.
Okay.
And I remember Puff one day in a meeting. And it's funny, he recently said it. I am a huge fan of Sean Combs as a person, as a business person. And so I was recently actually watching one of his documentaries last weekend just for fun. But he used to say this in meetings, like, whatever you are, you got to embrace it. I don't have any room for insecurities at all. And so if you think you're fat, you better get skinny. If you think, you're not cute, you better do whatever you need to do to get cute. And he's like, it's not for me. I don't want people reading your insecurities in a room. I don't want you missing out on opportunities because you don't like how you look in that dress, or you don't feel comfortable in this room full of beautiful people, so you feel like you don't deserve to be there. I need you, whatever your issues are, work on them right now so that when the opportunity comes, you're not pulling on your shirt. You're not, hiding hiding in the bathroom. And that is all I kept hearing. And so
it was like you was hearing his voice say that.
I was hearing his voice say that. And I'm like, I don't know what's coming. I have no clue what's coming.
What am I getting ready for?
But I got to get ready. And like any little insecurities that I had, that's all I worked on. If I was like, I need to get down like one dress size, I was working out like crazy. If I was like, I'm not the healthiest eater. I did not eat healthy until this moment. I was a person who refused to eat vegetables. Now I'm completely plant-based. But it started in this moment. I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, you're a little too old to be eating chips and cookies all the time. Like, you got to be in good health for whatever this thing is that's coming. Okay. I don't know what it is, but I committed to being completely ready for whatever it was that was coming. And when I tell you it came, and there was no hesitation, there was no, wait, well, I don't want to. No, I was completely, when the opportunities started to show up, and they didn't look like opportunities, but when things started to come my way, I felt completely comfortable to pursue or to go after whatever it was that was in front of me.
That's powerful. So I almost, you really said two things. The last thing, which is almost like not even just trust your gut, but trust the process. Right?
Get ready now for whatever it is that you think you want.
Let's write that down.
Like, you got to get ready now.
Get ready now. And then, the thing with your husband and sort of losing everything, that's just straight up. We've talked about that a lot. That's just straight up trust your gut.
Yeah.
Like that's all that is. That's all. But it's interesting because now let me ask you this: when they came to you with the Fugazi business idea, how'd your gut feel at that point?
So they had brought me this idea before, and I was like, nah, like I don't want to do this. Like, right. But at the time, I could use the excuse like I got a job, I got other stuff going on, right. But I never wanted to do it. I never wanted to do it.
Still the same thing. Yeah.
And it was like, listen, this is how they got me. Like, you've been working in, marketing and strategy for all these years. You have friends who, have products that they want to launch and have never been able to utilize your resources or services. And now that you don't have a job, it would be wrong of you to not, share your skills. I'm like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A little ego strocation.
A little bit. And so, but yeah, I never wanted to do it. I always thought it was a bad idea.
So it just still goes back to trusting your gut.
For sure.
Damn. And with that, right, which is so interesting, a lot of times things happen to us and we're like, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Right? In the moment, we're like, this is messed up. And I can imagine sleeping on your ex-husband's couch with no money.
No money.
Is not a nice place to be.
No.
It's not a good look.
No.
There's no part of it that's a good look. Come on, Avon. Watch your phone. No part of it is a good look. However, that led you to the website, and that led you to that whole journey. Yeah. So it's just crazy how that happens.
At the time, I was like miserable. I was going through a complete depression.
Of course.
Looking back at it now, everything had to happen the way that it happened. I really wouldn't change a drop of it. It literally had to happen the way that I remember during the time, I'm like, people are like, God won't put more on you than you can bear, which I actually don't believe whatsoever anymore.
Well, of course you don't, because you talk to God greasy.
I mean, no, I genuinely believe that I don't know if I believe that God is the one putting things on you, but I do believe that he will allow for you to be put under circumstances with more than you can bear, because it is your responsibility to rely on God. Like, I do believe that. Like, if it was easy, you'll never rely on him. It's supposed to be unbearable.
Right. And
so that you can rely on him.
I see what you're saying.
But at the time, I was like, I don't know who you think I am. Like, I'm not her. You got our social security numbers mixed up. Like, whoever the chick is who can handle all this, I don't know her. I think her name is Keisha, but it's not me.
Right.
But it had to absolutely be that way. It had to be all the things that went wrong.
Wow. Okay. Now I won't make you take us from there all the way up to now, because we know it's a lot.
It's a windy road.
And for those looking at the video, you can see she's doing all right.
I'm doing life's great.
Right now. Life is great. She owns several businesses and just corrected me at the beginning that she's now the chief operating officer, right?
New info
of Momentum Advisors, a fiduciary. The market is doing bad right now. What's going on? The Dow is messed up today.
We're not talking about that.
That's why Alan over there on his computer.
As you mentioned earlier,
like cash that's going out the window.
I focus on non-market securities. Okay?
That's right. Well, you good. You're good.
I'm good over here.
Are you hedging, Alan? You guys got some hedging? No, you don't look too happy over there. Anyway, so we're gonna jump for the true prescription for a second and just maybe jump into some other topics.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I got a good one for you. Talk about. So you don't have any children right now?
No. Ain't gonna have none.
You're not gonna have any.
That's always been the plan.
All right. I did see in your experience you used to be not a member. You work with a organization to help young girls.
Yeah.
Something in Paws.
Petals and Bells.
Petals and Bells.
Petals and Bells.
You are. I mean, whether or not you feel this way, you probably understand it. You are a role model, right? You have to take that on, right?
Over time.
Yeah, you're a role model. If you had a daughter, which you won't, but it's okay.
Correct.
If you had a daughter, what type of advice would you give her? What type of life advice would you give her?
Oh, so I'm aware if I were to have kids, I would be a great mom.
Okay.
That right. I'm aware of that.
A lot of awareness. All right.
I just don't want to do it because I'm also the type of person that's all in on a thing.
Okay.
And I have other things that I want to do. I don't know if I'd be good at being able to accomplish being myself, accomplishing the things that I want to do and raising another person. Yeah. But if I had a daughter, and I love kids, and I would constantly remind her that who you are in each of these moments, because who you are is going to change.
Yeah.
Is exactly who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't care what they said. Yeah. I don't care what you feel. I don't like your body, whatever it is, whoever you are in this moment is exactly who you are supposed to be. And it's great.
Yeah.
And anybody who tells you any different, that's all about them. It has nothing to do with you.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah. I was a fairly confident kid. Confident in that, like, I had a really happy upbringing, even though it wasn't perfect. My parents got divorced, but like they worked really well to make sure like I had a really happy life.
Yeah.
Really great town, friends. I wasn't the most popular kid, but I was close. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was very Saved by the Bell for me. Like, my boyfriend was captain of the basketball team. Like, I was invited to all the parties.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he had a cool car. I got, like, it was very Saved by the Bell. So I just loved it all. It wasn't until I got to college, Morgan.
Mm-hmm. MSU.
Morgan will teach you something.
What did you get
Morgan taught it to me very early.
What did you get taught?
Okay. I always give credit. I would say Morgan raised me up.
Okay.
For sure. Morgan raised me up something good.
Talk to me about that. In what way? That's interesting.
So again, happy-go-lucky kid.
Yeah.
Everything in life is great. Everything is perfection. I get to Morgan. First of all, I met this guy at freshman orientation.
Okay.
We talked all summer. Yeah. I get on campus. My parents drop me off. And the next day, so classes haven't even started, he asked me to be his girlfriend. Right? So I'm like, yeah, my friends are pissed. My friends who are like,
just got
right,
here.
they're like, you ain't even seen the other dudes yet.
Right.
He might be the worst one on campus. He was cute though. He spoke like a couple different languages. I like nice guys. I don't like
You don't like hood dudes.
No.
As long as they tall.
Right.
That's the prerequisite.
There we go.
That's the prerequisite.
And a job.
7'1". 7'1".
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I remember our first day on campus.
Okay.
First day of class. I was staying in Harper Tubman. He comes to pick me up so we can walk to class together.
Oh
I'm that girl. Like, we're carrying my books.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Right. And I'm walking. I haven't made it 15 feet before this girl walks up to me and him. She stops us in our tracks and said, "Oh, you think you cute? I'll take your boyfriend." I'm looking at him like, "Do you know her?" He's like, "I don't know her." And she walks off.
From Baltimore.
Clearly.
Okay.
And she walks off.
Interesting.
I go to class. Immediately after class, I call my mother. I said, "You need to get up here. Next weekend, you need to get up." I was still a tomboy at this time. It was nothing but like Nautica sweats and Timbs and Uptowns. I said, all this has got to go. Yeah. These girls are not playing on this campus. It is not a game out here. I don't want them to take my boyfriend. At least I want to try to keep him. And I, at that point, I was like, you've got to step it up. Morgan was kicking me in my butt left and right on a social perspective.
Yeah.
Kids were like, this is how bad I was.
Before you go on, let's give some people a perspective of the demographics of Morgan, right? So Morgan stays in Baltimore, Maryland.
It's hood.
It's in Northeast Baltimore. It's in a little bit of the hood.
It's hood.
There's a lot of kids from New York, New Jersey, Delaware that are there, and then also you have this large contingency of Baltimoreans that go
PG
there.
County.
Also from PG. And it's in the community, so people just come. Anybody can just walk on the campus, and so that's part of that sounds like one of them girls that might have just walked on the campus. But go ahead.
So I have a car. I've had a car since I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
When I got into college, my parents bought me a brand new car.
Oh, must be nice.
Right? I'm thinking I'm making friends. I'm trying to make friends.
Yeah.
And I say one day, like in a large group setting, "Hey, what are you guys doing after class? Let's go to the mall." And they're like, "We don't have no car." I'm like, "I have a car.
Right.
Like, I'll take you guys to the mall."
Right.
"We ain't got no money." "Call your parents and ask them to put some money in your bank account."
They're like, "What are you talking
about?" It was like, "Call your parents and ask them to put some money in your bank account."
Oh, man.
And I'm like oblivious. Like,
Right.
just call your parents. Just tell them to deposit some money in your account. And they're like, who, what?
Right.
What?
Yeah, no.
Like, I was like clear target for robbery after that. Like, it was like those were like constant moments of like, nah, sis, you not, that's not what we do. I remember calling my parents like, these people don't understand me. I don't understand them. I assumed Black was monolithic. That was my biggest mistake. So that's why when people talk about HBCUs and diversity, I'm like, nah, HBCUs are extremely diverse. All Black people are not alike. And I did not know that before going. I'm like, we all like Jadakiss. We all wear Timbs. Like, we all, you know what I mean? And then you get there and you got like the PG that's like, at the time for me, was Parasucos and tight jeans and dudes lacing their shoes up all the way to the top. You think the New York crowd is heavy, like everybody's Nas. Right. And then, you know what I mean? Like DC, even though it's right next to PG, is completely different. And I did not know that Black people were different. Yeah, and that's a great point. I also had to learn what you not gonna say, and everybody's circumstance is not the same, and you are responsible for that. You are responsible for understanding that everybody's circumstance is not the same, and you have to be able to maneuver. And you can't put your circumstance on other people, whether it's good or bad. And I was putting my good circumstance on other people, and that's not fair.
Not knowingly.
Not
innocently.
Knowing. Yeah, I was clueless.
Yeah.
But Morgan definitely made me aware, for sure. Okay.
Interesting. Did you ever think to go to a majority university?
Not for a second. Well, let me not lie. I definitely applied. I applied to Cornell, Drexel. I think those were the only two PWIs that predominantly white institutions that I applied to, and I got in to both, and they both gave me some scholarship money They didn't give me a full ride, but I don't think I was ever really gonna do it. I don't think it was ever on it. Like, again, as we all were, I was directly influenced by a different world, so it was going to be a black school. I just knew I wasn't ready to go south. I wasn't ready for that Spelman Clark
Atlanta.
Yeah, experience.
That was my choice.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends who did that.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to go that far away from home. I needed to be able to get home quick in case if something happened.
I was trying to go to Clark, and my parents were like, to your point, like, we need to get down to you. We need that 3-hour ride, to get to you quick.
That for me was like, oh, Morgan's right. Okay, let's do Morgan. Let's do right there. So it was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, no, I had a great time there, man. Class in 98. Whew.
There you go.
So, yeah, definitely enjoyed it. What else? What else you want to talk about? Talk about working for Puffy. What was that like?
So it's everything. It's all the reality shows. It's real. It's not a joke. No, seriously, it's all of the.
Hold on a second. Didn't you work with Puff doing some beats for him? That's crazy. Yeah,
See?
that's right.
Yeah. So, it's real. None of that's a joke. None of that's for TV. Like, that's very real.
That's
but he's also one of the most intelligent men I've ever worked for. And I remember from our first meeting, like I worked for Blue Flame, which is his, at the time, I don't think it exists anymore.
When you saying, I'm sorry to cut you off. When you say intelligence, you mean like he's not intellectually, you're talking about his ability to what? Because like I've heard him speak, and I'm like, he sounds like he's having a difficult time getting sense.
I'm talking about he does the research.
Okay.
He is always coming from an informed place. He is reading all the market studies. He is reading all the background information. Like, you think he's just basing things off his feelings. Like, it wasn't, at least not on my side. And I focused on the product side. So I didn't really do that much with music from a business perspective. Sure. But like, Blue Flame was the marketing and strategy agency that he owned. So any product that Puff had any relationship with had to go through Blue Flame. Yeah. So that's Ciroc, that is Revolt, that is Sean John, that is all the relationships have to come through Blue Flame, and we have to strategize against it, and you have to give us the money, and we execute. Got it. And what have you. And so
that's interesting. That's how he structured his deals.
That's how he structured his deals.
You want him to be a spokesperson,
and you have to pay him as a spokesperson separately, and you have to then you have to hire my firm to handle the execution of the strategy.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, and so he was very, and so I remember my first meeting with him. I'm like, I don't know what to expect. I prepared all these presentations. I'm like, he ain't gonna look at these presentations, and he was so informed about case studies and past discussions and research from years prior and market research and all this other stuff. And I was like, I wasn't ready for that, like, in my mind. So he was one of the most intelligent people. He taught me like what makes him Puff, like that audacious. Yep. It gets on you. If you're doing it right, it gets on you, and you can never get it off you. And it makes it very difficult for you to work with others after that. You're infected. And
like a virus.
It is it's like a virus. Yeah. And I want to even tell you, like, I am very like, what you mean? Like, and and
you gonna make them walk to juniors for you?
I've learned to dial it back. I've molded it into something that's more professional. Okay. But my expectations are Puff level expectations. Okay. Which isn't for everybody. But he teaches you, you're infected with. I remember when I started working for him, he said, listen, I've seen your resume, like, really great background. He's like, here's your problem. You know this industry. He was like, but you don't know how to work for Puff Daddy, and that's different. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I had to learn. He was like, what these other people have over you is they know how to work for Puff Daddy. You need to figure that out. And I didn't know what that meant.
This was in the first meeting you had with him? Or this was down the line?
No, it wasn't in a meeting. He just walked into my office one day and just wanted to make it clear, like, listen.
Oh, you had been working for him for a while?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And he was like, you don't know how to work for Puff Daddy. And I'm like, I'm very sophisticated. And right. I've got my systems. And he was like, yeah, them systems, that I hate, that's not going to work here. And at the time, I'm like, I just have a professional way of doing things. And I definitely learned within like 3 months. All them systems went out the window. Systems were gone, and I was wilding. But what he teaches you is when he asks for something, when he wants something, no matter how big or small, and you say to yourself, that's not possible, but you realize, because what ends up happening is everyone comes on one accord and starts working towards the thing. He says, I want this thing to happen, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how the timeline is. Now, you are all thinking this is not possible, but you will work towards it. You're like, maybe if we get close, that'll be enough. But as you're getting close, you realize it's possible. The issue with him is that anything that he's ever asked for, it always becomes possible. He no longer believes in impossible.
Yeah.
He believes that maybe you're not the right person. Maybe I got the wrong team.
Right.
I'm talking to the wrong individual.
Right.
But everything he's ever asked for, he's gotten. And then you start to realize, oh, everything is possible. And then you can never turn that off. And so when you leave the world of Puff Daddy,
right,
and you're in financial services, or like people start telling you stuff, and it's like, who are you talking to? Like,
right.
Oh, we can't do that. We don't do that in this industry. We don't operate that way. When we're not going to talk about that like coming into this industry, and I've been in it for 6 years now, the looks, the feedback, the pushback that I've gotten because I am so different has been constant. But I'm like, but it's working.
Right. Clearly.
It's working.
Yeah. Right.
And whatever you're doing don't quite look like it's working. But what you are infected with is that it's all possible. It's completely I can never hear somebody say like, oh, we don't do that, or we can't do that. I'm talking to the wrong person. I'm in the wrong room. And that is a lot for other people who accept no. For most people who accept no, it is a lot for someone to say, no, you're wrong. That's absolutely possible. Most people in this world will accept a no. And just do something else.
Right.
And you'll never think twice about it.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to accept a no.
So how did you change yourself from that when he stepped into your office and said, this is your problem? How did you transform yourself into someone who then finally knew how to work for Puff? What was it, just the execution piece?
I mean, it's just trial by fire. I mean, you see what everybody else is doing, and you wonder why they operate that way. And I'm like, this isn't normal. And then they will ice you out. They will ice you out.
Like if you're not up to the standard, they're like, I don't know you. Yeah. I know you, but I don't know you.
Right. And they will step over you. You know what I mean? And I want to keep my job.
Yeah.
I have all these people reporting to me, but they know what to do, and they're acting like I don't know what to do. And so you will get iced out, and you have to just get on board.
Yeah.
And then, but I said, like, as you start to see, like, did they really get that far? I'm like, well, don't leave me behind. Let me get in here. This is really possible. This is really happening. And you just see it so many times that it's like, no, I was wrong. He can have that. He can have whatever he wants to have. Once you see it so many times, and like I said, for him, he's been himself for as long as he's been himself, he can't ever go back. But even in years of being with him, like when you see it enough times, you're like, I've been wrong. I am wrong. He's not wrong. I'm not asking for the right stuff.
So interesting. It when listening to you talk, it makes me think about, there's a book called, what is it called? The Life MBA. But it basically makes me think about, like, he doesn't have an MBA, right?
Mm-mm.
You don't have an MBA.
No.
But clearly both of you guys are successful in business. So, how much education do you really need? It's more about the mindset. And when
we would have meetings, because, we would have a lot of our meetings were with major corporations, our larger parent companies, things of that nature. And they are expecting foolery. It was a requirement. We have to always be the smartest people in every room, and you need to always look better than everybody else in the room. That was a requirement.
That's what he told you guys.
Every single time. Every one of his executives at the time, and I don't know if that's still the case, he only had female executives. And every one of his executives, you had to be flawless every time, and you had to be the smartest person in the room every single time. MBA, I don't know what you got.
Right.
That's not what we doing. We're not doing that.
Right. We doing who knows the information and who can execute.
We would leave meetings and people would be speechless on a regular basis. And
he comes in just wearing whatever, like, sweatsuit.
Yeah, whatever he got going on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But y'all looking just like $10
every
million.
Time.
Yeah.
Alan will tell you, when I started dealing with Momentum, because we had to deal with each other for a while before I was open to coming on board.
Sure.
I'm like, this what y'all doing? Like, this what y'all look like? Like,
Right.
what's this? I don't, right. Like, what? I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. So I'm uncomfortable in me. Like, we not going into meetings together. Not Alan, but like, just thinking like, I can't do this.
Right.
This ain't gonna work. Like, you, like, do you know everything about, like, is that your suit fit like that on purpose? Like, it went on for a minute. And, I've been embraced, luckily. And,
look at Tiffany's, for those listening, look at Tiffany's Instagram. You'll see the I'll call them colorful array of outfits and the amount of flyness.
But that came from
there.
Puff. That came when I first started. He was like, "You gonna have to elevate that." I'm like,
wow.
No, that
just
was
like that.
There were times because the Sean John floor was like 2 floors beneath me.
Yeah.
Like we had the showroom floor. There were times he's like, "You need to go downstairs." Not today. You need to go downstairs. We're not doing that. I come from a very corporate conservative environment, and not even that, like, we didn't need to dress up all the time. Not that I was dressed crazy, but like, you got to be fly with Puff Daddy. Like, you don't know who coming in here. You don't know if cameras are coming in here.
Right.
What are you doing? Multiple times. Haircut, like, nah. You got somebody?
Whoa.
You gonna call somebody?
Just like that.
Nah, we not doing that. What you see on television is real. I'm telling you, it's not reality TV. He's not being dramatic.
Our engineer shaking his head.
Yeah.
Avon shaking his head, who worked with Puff.
Yeah, you're not
he's
doing that.
He's co-signing these statements that she's making.
No.
This is like, I mean, wow.
But it taught me something. It did teach me that how you look and how you present yourself matters. You don't know who's coming. You don't know who you're going to see. You've got to be, and you've got to feel good about it. And that was when he talked about those insecurities. Yeah. Don't be in my meeting pulling on your dress, pulling on your pants because you're uncomfortable in what you're wearing. You're not comfortable with your size, or you're not dressing for who you are. You're not comfortable with how you look. Stand tall. Act like you're supposed to be here. People can notice when you're insecure like that. So whatever it is that you're not comfortable with, fix it. Not for me, but for how you show up in these rooms. What if we get an award tonight? Like, what if we get invited to sit down with whoever? You can't be in there, uncomfortable because you're dressed a little tight, and no one notices it, but they notice how you feel, how you present yourself. He was like, so get it together, whatever it is. And it wasn't about like shaming, because if you felt good about you, whatever it looked like, he was with that. It was never about weight or whatever. Like you feel good, you feeling good. That's it.
Right.
That's it right there. We embracing that
attitude.
But if you in here, eating air and you lightheaded, we not doing that.
Eating air.
Yeah.
So he created a mindset and a culture.
Yeah, for sure.
And it sounds like he was literally he was the head of the snake.
Yeah.
And he was like, y'all, you see how I am? You see what I do? This is what y'all need to do if y'all want to be successful.
But it's genuine. He's not putting on an act.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, you've had a great mentor there.
Yeah.
Where we gonna go from here? What we gonna talk about?
What we talking about?
See how much time we got. A little time. Let's talk a little bit about financial freedom.
Financial freedom.
Yeah. I'm just gonna open it up.
Yeah. So like being in the financial services industry, like I was on the corporate side of things, and so understanding returns for like putting things out in the consumer market. Yeah. On the individual side, it is very different. Especially in being an entrepreneur, owning businesses and things of that nature, and net worth, and just taking all those different things into consideration. I think financial freedom for me is being comfortable, right? And we get so many people who reach out to us and they're like, I want to be a millionaire. And the question is always like, for what? Yeah. Like, what does this number mean to you? The number means something. Like $1 million might not be able to accomplish what it is this is really about. Like, what is this about? Right. You think $1 million is going to solve all your problems. It's not. So you need $1 million for what? Oh, so I could just chill. Like, no, like you have something. You have a vision of the type of life you want to live. Yeah. Let us add that up and let us find out what that number is. Yeah. And whether it is $1 million or it's more than $1 million or less than $1 million, let's work towards that lifestyle goal.
Yeah, it's about lifestyle.
It's about the lifestyle goal. And so, yes, it costs to live, right? But you can't work towards the number one, because of inflation, all right? So the number's changing every day.
Literally
every day. Like, we've got to work towards the lifestyle. And sometimes it might cost certain things. Sometimes it's how you maneuver. Sometimes it's where you are in life. Sometimes you got to go back to school. So it's a number of things. And so I think at Momentum, we focus on the whole thing. Hence how we've gotten into franchising and entrepreneurship. Like, we really, it's not, we're going to get you to this number and you be straight. What is it that you're trying to accomplish for your life? Yeah. What is it that you're trying to accomplish for your children? What do you want life to look like? I always say, like, people work all their lives. At a very minimum, you should be able to retire gracefully. And what does graceful retirement look like? Yeah. What does retirement look like? Nowadays, retirement isn't not working. It's working on the thing that you've always really wanted to work on. Right. So what does a graceful life look like? And let's build to support that with a financial foundation. That's what financial freedom is. Yeah.
I think, it's funny, a lot of times when people use the term millionaire, right? What are they talking about? Right. Are they talking about $1 million in assets? Are they talking about $1 million cash? Right. Like, what are they talking about?
One of the things that we do with a lot of people is we'll show them, like, look, you're a millionaire already.
Exactly.
You're a millionaire right now.
I can say that. My house alone.
Right. Exactly. Right? Yeah. You don't feel that way.
Right.
We haven't accomplished none of these goals out here.
Right.
But you're a millionaire right now. Right. Boom. We did it.
Right.
We quit. Right. It's over. No, it's not. It's not. And that's not what it's about. And that's why I'm saying it's not about that number. Exactly. Most people, like I said, don't even understand that you're a millionaire. You don't even think about that because you're not thinking about net worth and all your assets. But, like, boom, you're a millionaire right now. Go to sleep. Done. You're done. We haven't resolved any of the things that really matter to you.
Even if you get a $1 million life insurance policy, you're a millionaire. Done. Finished. Right. And, like, $1 million life insurance policy is cheap.
Exactly. Shout out to Momentum Risk Management.
$100 a month. Oh, you guys do life insurance policies?
Yeah, we opened an insurance brokerage last year, Momentum Risk Management.
Dope.
Life,
I didn't know that.
PNC, all types of insurance. But yeah, no, it's not about the number, and people have to learn that it is about the lifestyle and what freedom feels like. Yeah. And we got to accomplish that. Yeah. And there's some money tied to that, and a lot of times it's some other things attached to that.
Yeah. It's interesting. Going back to the whole financial freedom thing, right? It's a lot easier for someone to be financially free when they're, free of, we'll say, children.
Yes.
And free of a spouse, right?
Yes.
Like yourself, right?
Shout out to me.
I love my wife. These comments have nothing to do with you.
Right.
Disclaimer.
Y'all do that.
Right. Going, sort of pulling back in that other question I asked you before about what would you tell, your child. Yeah. If you were mentoring somebody, would you recommend them don't get married?
So I had a mentor who did that to me.
Interesting.
And it's crazy. The boyfriend that I met at orientation, it was his aunt. I used to babysit for them on the weekends. And I remember when we broke up, I was devastated, right? Yeah. I was sick.
But y'all, the girl didn't take him from you. Y'all just broke up.
We just broke up. But I was still babysit for her for his aunt on the weekends, and she used to do my hair. So I remember, like, going back down there, and I was sick, and she was like, "Yeah, we not doing this." She was like, "So I just want to say something to you right now." And she was super fly. She looked just like Jada Pinkett, and she was married to a doctor.
She was also from Baltimore.
Yeah, she was married to a doctor. She had, like, lived in Paris for however many years. She had 2 kids. She had a beautiful life, and she was like, "You see all this?" She was like, "This is cute, but don't get it messed up." She was like, "Tiffany, I'm telling you right now, do not buy into the system. Do not get married and do not have kids unless you are painstakingly. You wake up every night in the middle of the night thinking about children. Like, unless it is a deep desire in your soul." She was like, "Do not buy into the system." And she used to tell me this all the time. And she used to always encourage me, because when me and Dude broke up, she was like, "Oh, thank God, Jesus." She was like, that wasn't the road you. And she was like, "I see so much more in you." Not that people who have kids, like, there's not a lot in them. She was just like, she was like, no one else is going to give you this advice. And I wish somebody would have gave me this advice. If you want to have children and get married, absolutely do that. But know that you do not have to do that. And life will be amazing. Like it will be amazing either way. But no one ever talks to you about this other option. Yeah. Just know that it's available. And if you don't have kids and if you're not married, life will be amazing. And I want you to know, she's like, I'm always going to give you that part because I know the world is giving you the other part. Yeah. And that is the thing that made me feel comfortable. Like, well, I don't have to do that. Like, I don't have to. It was her constantly saying, just letting me know I had the option. Yeah. That, well, I don't have to do that just because everybody else is doing that. I could just have another type of wonderful life. Yeah. And so from childhood, I always told my parents I wasn't having kids. But
interesting.
Marriage, and I tried marriage, and I liked it. I would like to be married again. So I'm not against marriage. But yeah, I would love to be married again.
I didn't know that.
That was great. I did that kind of helped me subscribe to like, I don't have to have kids. Like, I just don't have to do it. Yeah. And it's not like I can try it out and give it back. So let's just not play with it. You know what I mean? Like, let's just not go down the road. Right. You know? Right, and so it is worked. Right. It's worked for me. Like I said, I love kids. I've got 1 million god kids. I'm #1 god mom out here. That's right. I date men who have kids. Like, that's not an issue for me. I'm just not, I don't require offspring of my own.
Yeah. It's crazy because, like, I just feel like women, you guys get more pressure than we do.
Oh my gosh.
Growing up to get married, have kids. Yeah. And you think about it, like when you were a little girl, what they give little girls, little baby dolls, right? Little carriage to push around. So it's something that's kind of like indoctrinated from the very beginning. But it sounds like from very early you were kind of like,
I did not like dolls. I did not. Yeah. I didn't want to take care of dolls. So we should. And I told my parents at 4 I'm not having kids. Yeah. And you think, there's just. It wasn't until like my father started to like, I think she's serious. My mother was like, you're just saying that and you're with your maternal clock. And, and my father was like, no, I think she's that serious. And they're cool. Well, my father's cool with it. And I have siblings. They got plenty of grandkids. So nobody's missing out on that experience. My mother still is devastated, but my father's definitely embraced it. And I think he's embraced it because he sees how happy I am. Yeah. And I think it's great for everybody who does it. I'm just going to choose another option.
Yeah. And you have that right.
I have that right.
Yeah.
I do get the pressure,
What's her name, the lady from Baltimore?
Her name is Bridget.
Shout out to Bridget.
Shout out to Bridget.
For breaking the mold. And, she's a lady after my own heart. Yeah. Anybody that does something, I'm all about doing something different or going against the grain. That's my problem. Sometimes if it's against the grain, I do it even if it's not necessarily the right thing. It's just because everybody else is doing something else. Yeah. That's great.
So I would probably also tell my daughter, I would definitely tell her that, like, listen, you have options. If that's how if you want to do that thing, you can do it. But also know people tell you, you're missing out. You're missing out. You don't know what I'm able to do. I'm out here doing all types of, it will be different, but it will be great. You have complete options.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, it definitely, because I remember, like, between my first and second marriage, I had this like period of time where, my first daughter was like, living with her mom. Mm-hmm. I was basically a single dude in New York. And now that I look back on it, I realize, I had so much time to be able to just, whatever I wanted to do. Like I could put 100% focus in something. And I was still trying to kind of find myself at that time. So I didn't really know what to focus on. But now I've got like 80,000 things to do. But
that feels so good. Like in those times where you're like, listen, I could be all in on something. Yeah. Or I could be all in on figuring out who I am.
And I needed that.
And you need that. Yeah. And I just think for me, it's funny, like on my worst days, like horrible day, bad day, devastated, whatever. Yeah. I come home and I think to myself, at least I ain't got to feed no kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like parents, you guys have to go home and act like none of that happened. You got to smile and look at homework and feed you and act like nothing happened to you today. And I get to address what happened to me every day. Right. If I need to take a bath, if I need to, eat a cookie, like I appreciate that I don't have to do that because I think as a parent, That is so hard to do. You have to act like none of that dirt that got on you today happened.
Yeah.
And you've got to show up and be your best version for this person. And I don't have to do that. And I appreciate that. Hence why I'm able to open a million businesses and have a million clients. And it's a trade-off.
Yeah, for sure. We call it, in my house, we call it shift 1 and shift 2. So shift 1 is the morning, like when we're getting them ready.
Yeah.
And shift 2 is like, when we're getting ready for bed. And then we have our sort of time, in those times. But I do remember a time, like, again, before when I just wake up, kind of, I had I started my second business. I was, doing that and just kind of, just being, But it's definitely a trade-off. It's definitely a trade-off. But I think you made the right decision.
I do,
and I'm happy for you. You look happy.
I am happy.
You look happy.
I'm happy. I tell people, like, so I get women are always like, moms come up to me and they're like, "You're so selfish. What kind of woman are you? You're so selfish."
Interesting.
Right now, this is like 2 minutes after I've heard you say, like, my kids, I can't stand them. I couldn't take a shower. Every time I try to, she ain't doing right. I'm like, well, you're not selling it right. How about that? Like, you're not selling it right. Like, how about you, if this life that you are trying to push on me, why don't you act like you're enjoying it?
Right.
Otherwise, you are driving my point home even more. Like, stop being miserable. You can't sell miserable.
Yeah. No, you can't.
At least not to me.
Oh, man. All right.
I feel like I'm probably like offending so many of your listeners.
No. Listen, the truth will set you free if you let it. That's what I always say. And I can't even say this is I don't like that term, your truth, my truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It really is the truth. It's a fact of statement that when you don't have children, and further for you when you're not married, there's a whole world of energy that you have to focus on what you want to focus on. That's all. Hence
why my friends who have children love giving me their children. Like, I'll take your kids off for the weekend.
Right.
And because you need that, and I know they're going back. It's a great trade-off. I've got a ton of energy, right, that you don't have because you do this all the time.
Yeah.
It is a trade-off. Like I said, I date men who have children, and I'm as involved as that makes sense. And as based on the relationship and whatever. I'm not dating anybody now, but like that, I'm not against kids. I just never felt the need to have my own full-time one.
Yeah. No, I got it. Okay. Where are you living now? You in the city or in Jersey?
No, I'm in Jersey. Okay. I just bought and rebuilt a home.
Wow.
I literally have been in this home possibly 2 weeks.
Congrats.
It has been a long process.
What made you move? I mean, what made you move out? What made you move to Jersey?
I'm from Jersey.
But what made you move to Jersey? I mean, versus the city, versus being back in the city.
I've lived in the city. I lived in Dumbo for a decent period of time. I love that. I just think the city wore me down after a while. Like, especially, you know what I mean? Like, I remember what did it for me one day. I joke about this all the time, but like when you live in the city, you can't go and buy all your groceries at one time.
No.
Like on your way home, you stop by the bodega or the corner store and you get what you need for that night or for the next 2 days or for the weekend.
Okay.
And I remember waking up one day and was like, I just want all my damn groceries at one time. I just want to be able to go into the grocery store, buy everything I need for the next week and a half, and go home. Right. I'm tired of lugging my work bag with my shoes in it and whatever potatoes I could carry. I want all my groceries right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to the suburbs. I'm out.
And in true Tiffany fashion,
I was out.
In 2 weeks you were gone. I
was out. Now, me buying this house, this is I've never even wanted to own a house before.
Okay.
Ever.
Wow.
So this was all very new to me. Yeah, I never.
So you did something that you historically had never wanted to do.
Never wanted to do this.
All right. How old are you now?
I'm 37.
If you can say it. 37?
37.
All right. Maybe at 47 you'll do something else you always said you would never
It happened though because it came from my gut. And it kept popping up. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And after a while I was like, all right, you're serious. And I don't know where this is coming from, but you're dead serious.
Yeah.
So I got to look into this.
Okay.
But I said, again, talking crazy, I said, I'm only doing this my way. I'm not doing this. I'm not buying. If I'm doing this, I'm building the house. I'm rebuilding the house. It's going to be my perfect dream house. I'm not buying it because it was available. It has to be in the perfect neighborhood.
You did a knockdown?
Yeah.
Okay. You did a knockdown. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's amazing.
You got an architect and
we did all that. Move walls, move bathrooms.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
All right.
And at the time, everybody's like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what? Who does this? Who goes from not wanting a house to now I got to build a house? You don't even know what you're doing.
Right.
It came out wonderful.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay.
So I'm living in Jersey in my dream house at the moment.
I think I'm going to title this episode Dream Life. I think that's what I'm going to title it. Dream life. Follow your gut. Live the dream life.
Follow your gut. Follow who like your true gut.
Yeah.
Though not like the gut that's like that's been approved by the masses. Like not Gen Pop gut. Like the gut that like when you're alone by yourself, you're like, you know what I really want to do?
Right.
Is that.
Right.
That's the gut you follow.
Right. Perfect. That's perfect. All right. I mean, we can go on forever, but I think we're gonna end it here.
That's fair.
Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I will sign off as I always do. The truth will set you free if you let it.